Welcome to the Pastor Podcast with Randy and Andy, where Sunday's sermon sparks Wednesday's conversation. Each week, they sit down to dive deeper, reflect thoughtfully, and wrestle with the themes of this week's message. Their goal is to explore faith more fully, ask the hard questions, and invite you into a dialogue that goes beyond the pulpit.
Welcome into the podcast, everyone. I'm Pastor Randy Moore.
And I'm Pastor Andy Payton.
We are a little bit off balance today. We'll just be honest about this. We are recording at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Typically, we record on Tuesdays at 9, and we're somewhat fresher at that hour of the day.
We're always off balance, Randy. Who are you kidding? Right. No, but you're right. It's a little bit of a different rhythm for us today.
It's exciting, and it really ushers in a new era of the podcast. Because when we first went on with the podcast, we were audio only. We said in 2025 we want to add video. We did that. And in 2026, we want to add the capability to have guests. Not here. It may look massive, our set here, because of the magic of television, but it's not. It's tiny. We don't have room for guests. But We're going to bring guests in via a Zoom-like application, and we're bringing more people in. So young Andy is behind the cameras there, and he's going to help us as we make this transition, become kind of a backup for us. And so we're here at 4 o'clock because that's when he's available.
Yep.
Right.
So I'm just sitting there thinking, so I'm no longer young Andy anymore. That's what I'm sitting there thinking about.
That's right. That's right. Okay, let's jump into the topic today. It's actually the topic this month or this Lenten season. Lent is 40 days minus Sunday, so it's about 47 days, and we are in the middle of week 2 and 3 right now. And our theme this year this time is what?
40 days to freedom.
All right.
Lent's not about trying harder; it's about becoming freer, and the idea is pretty straightforward, really. Lent is meant to be an invitation in which we align ourselves more and more with the love of God. And as we do that, we become more and more free because that's who we're created to become. And so this season of Lent, these 40 days of preparation, really, they're not meant to be a burden. It's really meant to be like what we've talked about before, kind of like spring training, where we align ourselves with God's Spirit, God's presence within our lives.
I'm back to the daily office. It's interesting how someone will get on something for a while and then get on something else. And so my Lenten practice this year is to get back on the daily office, which are readings and prayers and songs. And there's an app for that. And that's what I've been doing. It takes about 30 minutes in the morning. And if I get up, brew a cup of coffee and sit down with it and do it then, I can do it every day.
Yeah, and just for folks to know, the daily office is like a system of readings throughout the year, kind of like our Sunday morning readings. We use the lectionary.
Right.
There's actually sort of like a lectionary for every day of the year. And so, So are you reading the Old Testament, New Testament, and the gospel lessons? Are you reading them, all of them?
The one that I listen to, they mix it up.
You're listening to it? Okay.
Yes, I'm listening to it.
Ooh.
Yeah, okay. I got the idea from you, and I assumed you were listening to it, but you were reading it. You have a book that you follow.
Yeah, I just used the Book of Common Prayer.
I see. Okay.
Then it's got the lessons in there, but I don't always use it either.
Okay.
I'm like you, in and out. Right now I'm just doing contemplative prayer for my Lenten practice. I got out of the habit of that.
Yeah.
And I've picked it back up.
Yeah. So has Lent been good for your soul so far?
It's been great. There was a retreat right before we began Lent where Bishop Malone called us clergy together at St. Luke's in Indianapolis. And then the thing that stuck with me was she said, "You'll never out-preach your need to pray." I looked over at my friend and I said, "I'm not praying very much right now." I mean, I pray on Sundays and stuff, but in terms of a daily discipline, I'd kind of fallen out of the habit, and so it was a good invitation to get back on track.
The condition of my soul, in part, is connected to my retirement from my television career, and it's been more than a year already. But a week ago Friday, I was with some guys that are doing some work on our house, and it was late in the day on a Friday, and I started thinking, well, these guys are going to want to knock off and get their weekend started. And I said, I have to be reminded that it's Friday so I can have that Friday feeling, because in retirement, every day is a Friday. So But I think retirement has been good for my soul.
Yeah?
Yeah. And retiring, I'm not fully retired. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I'm still here employed by the church. I still have my ministry. But not having the job that I had for 44 years has made a big difference. I mean, I miss it some, but I don't miss it as much as I like my freedom. And I don't have a lot of desire to go back and dabble in it like some people do that, and that's well and good. But the fact that I have the church allows me to retire into something that's meaningful and I think healthy for the soul.
It's giving you a place to land, so to speak. Yeah. Someone asked me, it was today actually, someone asked me, does Randy ever do guest appearances back on the news? And I was like, I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I'll do that. It's not something I need to do, and it's a younger person's game. If you just turn on the news and flip around, you'll see that it is. But yeah. Okay. How about we read the text? You said before we opened up the mics that you've never preached on the flood.
Yeah, the story of Noah's Ark. And Pastor Jerry Reardon was the liturgist in the first service. And I leaned over to him right before. I said, "Have you ever preached on Noah's Ark before?" He says, "I haven't." I was like, "Well, I haven't either." And so this is my first time. And so here we go.
Okay. Well, this is just a snippet. It's 6 verses from Genesis 7. Then the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you alone are righteous before me in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals, the male and its mate, and a pair of the animals that are not clean, the male and its mate, and 7 pairs of the birds of the air also, male and female, to keep their kind alive on the face of all the earth. For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and every living thing that I have made I will blot out from the face of the ground. And Noah did all that the Lord had commanded him." So 40 days, there it is.
There it is. The number 40 appears again and again throughout Scripture. And so this series itself is going to be fairly easy because there's so many different stories where that number of 40 appears. And this might be one of the most famous. I guess Jesus' 40 days in the wilderness, fairly famous. And then, of course, the wilderness experience of the Israelites wandering for 40 years. That's a big one. But Noah he sits on the boat and he waits 40 days for the new world, the new creation to begin to emerge after the world is flooded. And for me, this story, it appears so many places. If you look, it's on nursery walls, it's in Sunday school books, it's peppered throughout our culture. And the thing that's just so apparent about Noah and the ark and the flood, all of it, is that it points to something deeper. Mm-hmm. Anytime we as humanity start putting a story like this on our walls and in our books, it's much more than just a story. It's pointing to something that we long for. And I think for Noah, in this particular moment in Scripture, the reason it appears so much is because we all long for a safe place in the midst of a scary world. And we long to find that place of safety. And I think Noah kind of gives us a symbol to think about what that might mean for us.
I love the fact that you 100% stuck to the new creation theme, 0% destruction, right?
Right, yeah.
Because that's something that we have to deal with. But I think, of course, what lets us off the hook and what really lets God off the hook is that this is a story. Yes. It speaks a truth, but this is a story. In fact, it's probably based on one of 3 much older stories. But it does speak truth.
Yeah, definitely. Regardless if it actually happened or not, just to throw it out there, what this does is it depicts something very meaningful and very important for us to understand. And really, to understand the story of the flood and Noah, you have to look at the entirety of the book of Genesis. And so Genesis chapter 1 starts with God's Spirit hovers over the waters of creation, the waters of chaos, and begins to call forth life. So that's the opening pages of Genesis. That's the first image that we're given. And then, of course, God creates and then calls it good. Well, as things begin to fast forward between Noah and Genesis 1, so Genesis 1 is the creation account, then there's Noah. So there's like 6 chapters in between. Well, we lose our way. Humanity loses its way, begins to fall into violence. And so God finally says, okay, I'm going to send a flood. So what's that about? Well, the way I would interpret this is God is allowing the world to return to the way it was before God started creating it. Mm-hmm. And so really what's happening is God's like, okay, that's what you want? You want the chaos? You want the violence? I'll give it to you. It will engulf you, but here you go. Mm-hmm. And then Noah then gives us a picture of, so how do we navigate the chaos and the violence then? And it's really a story about, in the midst of a chaotic and violent world, God is still working and working to protect life and to bring life even out of the chaos. And I mean, just on a deeply symbolic level, I think that's where it's going.
And the ark is a powerful symbol.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
That's
what you developed so well in your message, I thought.
Yeah, to me, it becomes the symbol of the faithful life. Mm-hmm. You know, what does it look like to live the faithful life? Well, I mean, it looks like building an ark that protects life. And I didn't develop this too much in my sermon, Randy, but it's not just human life that gets protected here. It's all of life. Like, all the animals are included in this. And so the faithful life is not just about protecting humans, it's also about protecting all of creation. And Noah's, goodness gracious, that's just a perfect image of what it means to live, to use the words of the lesson, to live the righteous life. Mm-hmm. The text itself describes Noah as being righteous, which the Hebrew word actually points to a person aligned with God's desires. So Noah is actually the prototype of what it means to do justice and to love kindness and walk humbly with God. He's the prototype of what that looks like.
He's also the beneficiary of grace, as is his family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Noah's righteousness doesn't just protect him,
mm-hmm.
ultimately protects his family too. And he's not a perfect vessel mm-hmm. either. And he has his faults, but I think what Noah is doing, though, is he is seeking to resist the spirit of his time. Mm-hmm. And that's just it's something we all are called to do. He says no to the violence. He says no to the dehumanization. He says no to the revenge. There's actually a story a little less known between Genesis 1 and Noah. Of course, you know the story of Cain and Abel, the first murder. But then there's another story about, how do I say his name? Lamech?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He seeks revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something to think about too, right? It's not just murder, but there's also this heart full of revenge. Mm-hmm. And Noah resists all of that and then protects his family in doing so.
Yeah, you used a quote from a counselor friend of yours that I wrote down, and I want to remember this. There's some games in the world where the only way to win it is to refuse to play it. Talking about resistance.
Yeah. Don't engage. Just don't do it. Yeah. Uh-huh. And that's Noah in a nutshell. And the way he resists is that he doesn't yell. He doesn't scream. You don't hear Noah preaching a sermon and saying, "Hey, you people, you need nothing like that." He just humbly and quietly gets to the business of building his ark.
So this is a safe place, right? That Noah has constructed, and we see it as this magnificent ark. But you suggested that the church, I don't know that you said this necessarily, but this is what I picked up on it. The church is kind of an ark.
It's meant to be.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
We don't always do a great job.
It has some holes in it.
It's a leaky ark sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a helpful way to think about what does it mean to be a part of the church. Well, the church is meant to be kind of like that safe place mm-hmm. in the midst of a world that doesn't always align with God's desires. And so I think if nothing else, people come to a place like Methodist Temple or any congregation, I would hope, looking for a spiritual home, looking for a place where they can be themselves, looking for a place where they can be received well. I think the word I used was authentic. Mm-hmm. And I did a little etymology on that word, Randy. Mm-hmm. One of the coolest ways to think about authenticity is to be authentic means you're true to your source.
True to your source. Okay.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Because, what are we really trying to do when we come to church? Well, we're trying to be true to the source. We're trying to be true to Christ. And this is the safe place where we try to do that, imperfect though we may be.
We have stressed being a safe place for a long time now, and you've actually asked the question, what was it that drew you to Methodist Temple? And when did it become home?
Yeah. When did you know you were safe? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you shared your story.
Yeah. Yeah. I joke that the bishop is what sent me to Methodist Temple, and that's partly true. But
Right.
The reason I didn't have to say yes to moving here. I moved here as an associate pastor originally. And the reason I was intrigued by this place was it was right next to the university. It was in a place where I thought maybe I could fit there, and maybe I could be authentic and share my thoughts and my feelings, and they might be received well. And not that the place I was at before, they were fine people. It was a great ministry, but I thought just this might be a fit. And so 13 years later, here I am. So, yeah.
Well, you learned enough along the way that you were able to, with some level of comfort, speak your mind, say what you wanted to say, be who you wanted to be authentic.
Yeah. And and I like that idea of authenticity being true to the source, because when it comes to preaching or being a pastor, Randy, it's not that we're just trying to spout off our opinion, although we have opinions.
Sure.
We're trying to call forth, what does faithfulness look like in the midst of whatever's going on within both our community and the world, and that's the basic calling. So
yeah. Excuse me, I got here in 2022, but it was already home for me. Methodist Temple was already home for me because I was a Boy Scout here. In fact, when I came here for the first time, when I had been appointed here, I slipped downstairs to the Boy Scout room and found in the picture case down there a picture of me with my group. We went to Philmont Scout Ranch. It's still all these years. I was 14 years old.
Was Phil Kinsey your leader by any
No,
chance?
Phil wasn't. No.
Yeah.
I think one of his sons was, I think, older than me or younger than me, or just missed each other in terms of going through the Boy Scouts.
He's a longtime member of the church.
Yeah. So, it was interesting to see that after all these years. Like I say, I was 14 years old in that picture, and that picture's still on display here. And so that's home. Home is where your pictures are on the wall, right? I mean,
that's certainly true. Yeah.
But then I felt a warm welcome, and I felt at home outside the Scout room, right? I mean, it is an inviting congregation, and like you, I've been able to be authentic. That's a gift. That's a real gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to put on.
Right.
You could be you. Yeah. Yeah. I've been thinking about this idea of home ever since I preached the sermon. And the question that I come back to is, I think what home really is we come to a church, we're looking for the spiritual home we used to have, or the spiritual home we wished that we had. And it could go either way.
Yeah.
And you talk to folks when they come here, it's like, hey, what brought you here? And they're like, I'm just looking for a place where I can be home. They're looking either for an experience they used to have or something they wish they had, and maybe a mixture of both.
Well, in what way or what ways is the church like an ark in that it's a safe place to be during a storm?
Just to put it simply, we value life. We value the lives of people in all their diversity. I think that's it in a nutshell. Because, I mean, in the world we live in, it can be argued we live in a secular time. And what I mean by that is we live in a time in which we are often motivated by the groups that we belong to. We're often motivated by what's my group say I should be, and what's these people say I should be. The church is meant to kind of undercut some of that and say, no, we value your life. You're valuable the way you are. Doesn't matter what the world around says. What matters is who Christ says we are, and that basic posture. That's what we're trying to carve out, really.
I remembered as I heard I wasn't here on Sunday, but I played the sermon later. And as I listened, I was reminded of a friend of ours, Mitch Gisselman, Reverend Mitch Gisselman, who was my pastor at Aldersgate. Then he was both of our district superintendents. And in a sermon, he was talking about Peter walking on the water, and he flails trying to walk on the water. And Mitch's message was, stay in the boat.
Don't get out. Yeah.
Stay in the church, and
That's good.
Stay in the church, and I like that too, because we have been stressing that this is nothing new to say, but to really live it is difficult, and we need to press hard toward it. Church is not a Sunday thing. Again, that's easy to say, but what we're trying to develop is no compartmentalization of our lives.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Authentically who we are here, but authentically who we are outside of here as well.
And even when we leave the church on a Sunday morning, we haven't gotten off the boat. We're still on the boat.
Right. We're called to be the ark.
Yeah.
Wherever we go. Yeah. Last thing I'll just point out about Noah is that, so he builds the ark, he gets on the ark, and then he waits. And that's a big point that Lent is trying to make, is that, okay, it's not going to all be like rainbows and unicorns right away. You might wait for a while before the new creation arrives. And the waiting is messy, has to be messy for Noah. I joked, but here he is on the boat with all these animals. It has to stink. And then not only that, the animals probably don't get along. And not only that, he's on the boat with all his family. They probably don't all get along.
Are we home yet?
And so it's a messy experience when you're sitting there. You're trying to build the ark, and you're trying to bring everyone together, and it doesn't always just come together easily. And in fact, truth of the matter is, we might be waiting a long time before we get to the new creation that we're longing for. And if we're not careful, sometimes what happens is, as life gets messy, then we jump ship. Mm-hmm. And when we jump ship, then we miss the new life if we're not careful. And I know that's pretty straightforward, but it's much easier said than done to just stay on the ship. But
yeah. Okay. This Sunday.
This Sunday, we're going to continue with 40, and going to talk about the Israelites and their wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. And the thing I'm going to be, exploring is, so the Israelites, they get out of Egypt overnight, but they are not freed from their fear. It takes 40 years for that. Mm-hmm. And so I think that says something to us about what transformation looks like as well. We might be told that we're free, but it takes a while to actually live like a freed people. And that's the challenge.
All right. Very good. We will look forward to this Sunday. Thank you so much for checking out our podcast. We really do appreciate it. If you'd like to check us out here at church, we are here in Evansville, Indiana on Lincoln Avenue, cat-a-corner from the University of Evansville. We worship, our traditional worship service is at 8:30. Our contemporary is at 11. We'd love to see you here. And if, just in case we don't, we'll see you next time on the podcast. Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Pastor Podcast with Randy and Andy. We hope you'll join us next week. We see Christ in you.